Right then. Morning. Oh, yeah. I can see people now. We've got Ross, Julian, Diamond King, Matthew Stewart, Tom, etc. Right. we've got Pips here as well. Hey, Pips. Right, 1 second. We've got a moderator here today for the crypto spammers. So once Pips, excuse me, into my studio. Okie dokie, let's crack on. It's 12 o'clock. So today, unfortunately, we had a guest interviewer today who has had to postpone. And so we're trying to reschedule that for next week sometime, which is a shame, but it's going to be a good interview when that happens. So today we're going to spend 10 minutes on crypto. Then I'm going to go through YouTube comments. I apologize massively for those on YouTube. I looked at the comment section and I haven't replied to any comments for a long time, so I do apologize. So I'm going to buzz through all of the questions and hopefully, Lucy Chronicles, crypto spammers be gone. Also, there's a random button here which I've been meaning to press. I want to see what happens when I do this. Okay. I don't think it did much. Right. So let's share screen. Sharing this screen, we are then going to do a timer. So we need to stop and reset it. I'm just going to undo that. Right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so crypto. We're in a bit of an impasse. Impasse. I never know what to say here. So when we're looking at the granddaddy Bitcoin. Obviously, we have some sort of pattern here. Now, I know everyone on Twitter and YouTube is talking about the death cross, and the death cross is bollocks. It's completely an unreliable sort of tool. And then now what the Twitter sphere is talking about is this head and shoulders. Now, I've said this in previous occasions, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said this could be a potential head and shoulders, but it's an extremely high probability that it won't play out because technically speaking, this is the neckline that I drew here, and let's call it 30 to be safe. The top line, the head is about, is it 60? So it's a $30,000 difference. Therefore, if this head and shoulders plays out, it basically means Bitcoin goes to zero. It's not going to happen, folks. Not going to happen. So although it's interesting, I think you should just look at this on the log scale. Is Bitcoin still in exponential growth? Exponential growth on the log scale is bottom left to top right. Yes, it is. I mean, hell, just look at this. That is pure exponential growth. You can actually just log that that line there. However, this is rather interesting that we have major support here at 20,000. In fact, in my book, the crypto book, I said during the next rally, we'll probably zoom up to 50 to 100,000 and then zoom right back down to 20. That's the nature of the markets. We always like to retest previous highs, and we haven't retested this 20, which also coincides with this trend line, although I haven't drawn it very accurately. But yeah, do I think we're going to 20? I still think it's unlikely. Let's get out of that. Let's go to the daily. However, there is always a however. By the way, there's no clear answer today. If you're here today hoping for a clear answer of whether it's up or down, I'm going to tell you right now, there is no clear answer. Trading most of the time is full of contradictions. I can look at any chart and come up with a theory, up or down. I look at a different time frame, or hell, another chart, and everything's going to be contradictory. So as a trader, I only do low risk, high probability outcome moves. That's all I do. When I have high certainty in a potential outcome, that's when I move. And right now, we're in a bit of a doldrum sort of period. So looking at this on the daily chart, we can see that this neckline here, around 30, it's not a flat horizontal line, it's around 30, 31, 32, is getting smothered. Now, levels that are smothered tend to break. And so we're getting some real smothering here. And therefore, the other day, I was looking at this and I was saying that the next real clear support would be around 24,000, which is the top of this little sort of movement around here. So that's if we did bust through this, we'd see a little bounce from sort of 24,000. It wouldn't go straight to 20. Now, this is where things have changed in the last day or so. On the daily chart, we've got a bit of a double bottom posted down here. So what we don't know is if it's going to bounce. Now, literally last night, I was playing Age of Empires, as I do, and someone was saying, where do you think it's going? And I drew this little trend line here. Now, at the time, in fact, I can probably find that on Discord. Yeah, here it is. So this is last night at 11:30. It was bouncing up to this trend line here, and I said it's most likely going to hit this level and bounce back down again, although this does look very double bottomy. And so what has it done is it's hit this level. It looks like it's been rejected. It's still too early to tell. So the honest answer is I don't know whether this is a genuine double bottom and this is the neckline or the bum line and that we're going to see a move up, or this is just going to be bounced back down. I don't know. It's just a wait and see type thing. I know you could probably go down to the 1 hour chart and look at this a little bit clearer. I guess you can see this little support line going here. Is it going to bounce off this line around sort of 33,800? Maybe. We don't know. But only time will tell. I'm 100% out of the market, by the way. I got out on one of these highs and I was waiting for a better re-entry. But we will see. And it's not like the end of the days if the market does. If, let's say, this is a double bottom and the market breaks up here, it's not the end of the world. I've still got, yes, I'll be buying in at higher prices, therefore I'll have slightly less tokens, but I will, on the whole, have more tokens than I did a few weeks ago. So let's look at Ether. Let's jump to Ether because basically all cryptos charts will look either very similar to what Bitcoin's doing or very similar to what Ether's doing. So if we look at Ether, again, we've got that little double bottom here. And like I said, for the last couple of weeks, what's happened? The market has hit the base structure of this compression and it's hit it. Theta, I think, was also one which has been almost textbook. Almost textbook. Oh, sorry, not Theta. Was it Link? Yeah, look at that one. Link has literally had that rising compression. It's broken out. It literally hit that base structure. And it still isn't out of the woods yet. So it's going to be interesting. Although Bitcoin's rallied a little bit, everything else is not rallying as hard. But they're all resting on these little base structure points. So it's interesting. How's the timer doing? 3 minutes. I've got loads of time. ADA is, yeah. So we're smashing into this level at the moment with ADA. Whether this will break out, I don't know. But the thing is, if you look at this overall compression, it's beyond the apex now. So if it does break out, I'll probably get back in on a pullback. But this could still easily fake out to the downside. Overall, I'm massively bullish. And I'm aware of one thing that I always teach my students, when it comes to charting, that whenever you have a big sort of shit show and the market will do the first sort of shock, and this little first shock was down to 30 before bouncing. Now, nearly 100% of nearly, I would say 95% of the time, this level is always retested, probably once or twice. But the key thing to look for before you know whether things are going back up is for that level to get breached. So this little sharp short shock, I've been saying should be breached. And what's happened here? Guess what? Literally in the last couple of days, we breached it. It hit below 30, it hit 28, and it didn't close below it. That's super important, folks. It didn't close below this. It went all the way down here and got absolutely rejected, posting a massive low test here. And therefore, this is the signal that things are about to roll over. Go back up. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen straight away. We could still have a little move back down to 32. Which obviously I'm hoping for, but yeah. So no real things here. 1 minute 50. So I'm going to anticipate some of the questions here. Everyone's heard about Binance. Binance has been basically dick slapped by the FCA, which they're doing to everyone really. And so it's mainly FUD. It's basically obviously the news has blown it all out of proportion. What they're trying to do is stop companies or unregulated people or entities doing regulated activities. Now, regulated activities, you can look on the FCA PERG, look at their PERGs. There's a whole list. It ranges from doing loans, managing money, holding money, all that sort of stuff. But really, they're focusing on the derivatives part. So futures trading, leverage, full stop. So it will not affect your spot wallet or even your staking wallet. So it'll just continue acting like, Coinbase does or Kraken or whatever. It's just the sexiest stuff, like the loans and stuff. They're probably going to pause on that. Now, if you want to still use the derivatives type stuff, just get a VPN and log in from another country. Bob's your uncle. Done. What's wrong, Pippy? Pips is growling. Something's going on. What will happen, knowing our luck, is we'll have a delivery and she'll freaking yelp. So, yeah, don't worry about Binance. I've still got all my stuff in Binance, just ready to re-enter. I know I see some of my trading students here that will be going into the on-chain analytics at 2 o'clock with the trading pub. So, Steve Woody, in your face, mofo. Crypto done. 10 minutes. Good job I didn't agree to that 10 quid bet. So yeah, right. I think I've got someone in my team who's moderating. Matt, can you hear me? Oh, has he muted himself? Can you hear me, Matt?
Yep.
Oh, sweet. Did you have to ban any spammers? I haven't looked at the chat. No? No. Have you figured out do you know how to, if it does happen?
We will see.
Yeah, this is a trial thingy. So, yeah, I'm just going to mute you and get rid of you, Matt. But
thanks.
I appreciate you. So, right, let's get out of that. Cool. Right, so now, do Q&A. I'll go through the chat box here, and then we'll go through the YouTube Q&A type shizzle. So, Crypt Run Gun said, "Hi Simon, morning. What are all the games in crypto? It's going down, etc." Yeah, The promising thing. Okay, by the way, I'm just answering these questions. I finished the sort of the crypto bit, but I will answer your questions. Look at the promising side of all of this. We've had major FUD. We've had China doing its best, the FCA doing its best, like all sorts of people doing their best to try and shit over Bitcoin. What has it done? It's gone down a bit, obviously, but in recent terms, like over the last week or two, we've had big attacks on the crypto stuff, and what's happened? It's been resilient. That's pretty much all China can do, and what did it do? It affected the hash rate a bit, which is good for crypto. As I said last week, China sort of shutting down the Sichuan mining rigs are good for the environment because a lot of the mining operations in China were coal driven. Some of them are renewable, but there are a bunch of coal-driven ones. So what will happen is that the rest of the world will pick up the hash rate. The Western mining operations are generally way greener and more renewable, so that's good. It also gets rid of that wild card that China's always had. China's always had that leverage over Bitcoin. Now they've basically just used it. They've fluffed it. They've absolutely fluffed it. Which means I don't think they actually want to kill it. If they really wanted to kill Bitcoin, they would literally stop all mining activity in China. They would just. But that didn't happen. I think there's just a lot going behind the scenes that we just don't know. Right, Tom G. So here's my question. I know you're ultra bullish. Now imagine your situation was different. You're PAYE, so I'm employed. Wait a minute. You're a PAYE employee. Who owns a house via mortgage that you have a fairly healthy amount of equity in. How would you weigh up the pros and cons of selling? Pretend you move into renting to release the capital to invest. So I'm just trying to understand this question a bit more. How would you weigh up the pros and cons of selling? Oh, okay. So let's get some doodles out. Oh, I should have preloaded it. I forgot. Microsoft Whiteboard takes a freaking ages to do. Here we go. Let's get rid of that one. Let's create a new board. So, as you know, my brain is like inception of seesaws. I've got a million seesaws. So there's always a risk to reward. Okay. So the risk. So let's say you have your house, and I don't know. I'm just going to say you've got 200k equity that you 200k that you could get access to. If you remortgage, and you'll be paying 1 to 3%, something like that. So what is the risk? So crypto bombs. Okay, I think there's very, very low probability of that. But what is the reward? Well, the reward is just nuts. This is going to be a very one-sided conversation here. Just imagine if you put 200k in Ether and just gave it. Oh hell, let's be really safe. Ignore all the fancy stuff. Let's say, right, you wanted to make sure it's solid. You just put 200k in Bitcoin. Now, what's Bitcoin likely to do? I think it's highly likely to gobble up. In fact, ignoring all of the fundamentals I spoke about last week, if you're looking at stock to flow, which is still on track, by the way, we're looking at like $1 million by 2026. So what is that from now? So we're at 33. So $1 million divided by 33 equals a 30xing from here. Well, if you just plonked all of that 200k, that is, basically 30. You're looking at 6 million quid, mate. So the risk, what is that as an R multiple? It's like a 30R trade there. And not only that, you'll be able to stake that, or not necessarily stake it, but you can do all sorts of stuff with that. You can get a yield from that, so you don't just have to put it in a wallet and just park it. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I know this is probably going to come across as wildly irresponsible, but you have to weigh up these seesaws in your life, and whenever you have anything which is at least a 10R outcome, you've got to take it. And so for me, I see very little risk with remortgaging a house and putting that equity into crypto. Remember, just you go back to basics. Where is it? In fact, if I look at this one here. No, I did some doodles the other day, actually. Let's try and find those doodles. I wrote a big list of stuff. Here we go. Yeah. So this is in a video to my students. But when you're looking at all of these fundamentals, right, there's so many fundamentals that you could go on. And I wrote this little list in 5 minutes. If I had more time, I could probably expand this list of fundamentals. But all you need to go back to is this first one here. The only thing that really matters is that the global currency supply is growing exponentially. It's circa 25% per year, which means your purchasing power, if you own the dollar or the pound, is dropping every single year, and you don't know it, and it's insidious because it's hard to detect that. Other than the fact, if you see, like I saw a Freddo being sold for 50p the other day in Tesco. This is Tesco, not like a small petrol station. Freddos are being sold for 50p. If you want any evidence of, dilution, currency dilution, it's that. Whereas Bitcoin is hard money, and so the Federal Reserve, the central banks, are the biggest, pusher of crypto, because the more that they keep on killing the currency supply, it's just going to boost up Bitcoin prices. So yeah, I easily see $1 million Bitcoin. Obviously, it's nominal. Your real purchasing power will be a lot less than that. But so going back to that seesaw, if you have equity in your house, this is just my opinion, and I know people will probably hate me for being reckless, but I think you are barking mad if you're harboring your wealth in property and the pound right now, and you need and you should convert as much as you can into crypto. I know this is a stark difference from what I put in my book, the crypto book, where I said you should put, risk capital into it. But crypto has been de-risked. It's volatile, but it's not risky anymore. Yes, if you're dicking around with, Shiba Inu coin or whatever, it's risky. But Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, they are the future. They are de-risked. So, and you're basically just swapping your ice cubes into something hard, and that hard thing is not going to melt. So that's my opinion. So, knowing that the currency supply is expanding by roughly 25% a year, why would you have any part of your wealth in the pound or the dollar? You're literally just bending over and letting the government rinse you. That is literally what's happening. Right. How would you weigh up that? But by the way, yes, I see this going to 1 million, but there's going to be crazy, crazy volatility. So, yeah. But stock to flow is still the thing that we can hang our hat on. Stock to flow has been around for years and years, or like centuries. For as long as commodities have existed, the stock to flow model has existed. And what's happening right now is basically just a double peak, just like we saw in 2013. In the 2013 bull market, we had an interim peak, we had a big sell-off, and then 80% of the move happens in the last 20% of the time. So what I've actually so I'm actually trying to I've got another little bet going on at the moment. One of my old schoolmates doesn't believe me that Bitcoin will hit $100,000. I'm trying to find it here. I'll take a screenshot for you. And so we've bet £1,000 that I said, if Bitcoin hits 100k this year, it doesn't have to stay above it. If it just hits it, I win £1,000, and if not, he makes it. And then the other day, he texted me. This is when Bitcoin was like crashing through 30. He said, "You still confident?" Just like that, and I was like, "Hell yeah!" And so what I'm trying to do now is rope him in. Matt, if you're watching this, as in, yeah. Basically, I'm trying to double up. I was like, mate, do you want to double up the bet? So it's a $2,000 bet now, and so I don't know if he'll take it, but I hope he does. Easy money. So I'm still more than confident that we'll see between 100 to 150k by the end of the year. And so, where are the questions gone? Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Anyway. So, hopefully, Tom, that's my opinion. You probably guessed what my opinion on that would be. But convert every spare penny you have into crypto and sit tight. Right. Julian, question. A couple of crypto YouTubers have recently mentioned the bullish nature of a $4.5 billion Tether uplift movement in the last 24 hours. Is this really relevant to the Bitcoin price? Yes, it is. We've seen without a shadow of doubt that Tether pumps do affect Bitcoin in a big way, to the point where probably 40% of all of Bitcoin's movement in 2017 was due to Tether pumps. So if we were to just overlay USDT market cap, wait a minute, let's find it. It's this one, isn't it? No, it's dominance market cap. Here we go. So what has happened? Let's just double check this. I was speeding through. Let's get rid of that. I want to double check. USDT, market cap, Tether. Yeah, it is that one. Right. So if we just go back in time a bit, we can see. So this orange line is the Tether. So as you can see here, look, Tether market cap dropped from. Oh man, won't show me the price. Where's the price? Damn it. So it's changed into percentages. Let's go to regular. 1 second. No, I can't do that because it's in the billions. So it's gonna have to be percentage. Okay, doesn't matter. But like you can see this here, like so Tether market cap drops from whatever it is up here all the way down, and then a few weeks later, Bitcoin follows, and it's the same on the way up. So you see, okay, that not that. Where is it? It was quite recently we saw some big things happen, like here, Tether pumping big time, Bitcoin following, and then more pumping, more rallying. In fact, it's not the best scale. And like we saw here, look, this massive pump. Like they're printing like $10 billion out of their ass, like this. And then guess what? The lag. There's normally like a 2 to 4 week lag, and then Bitcoin absolutely rockets up. So what's happened recently? I haven't looked at this chart for a while. There's been no Tether increases. So in fact, I'm just going to create an actual watch list just for this one myself. Let's add it to the bottom. So yeah, nothing's actually happened. So if we look at Tether on its own, hopefully it'll give us let's look at normal regular. So it's $62.5 billion. Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, nothing's happened. So I don't know what these YouTubers are on about. 4.5 billion. Oh, by the way, 4.5 billion is nothing. Like when you look at Tether's total market cap, it's 62.5. So a 4 billion pump is nothing. I just want to double check because I haven't looked at this for a while. I just want to double check Tether. Yeah, 62.5. Yeah, so that is right. This chart is correct. So a $4.5 billion pump is nothing. So again, it's just YouTubers trying to over exaggerate everything. Yeah. So Ellen said, "What if not go down as much as 20k? Where and what sign will you re-enter?" Yeah, it's a good question. So personally, obviously I'm not into Bitcoin. Obviously I look at Bitcoin because everything moves in sort of a bit of a lag from Bitcoin. So I look at everything individually. So if we just get rid of this Tether thing, it's ruining the charts. Here we go. Oh yeah, do you like my Fat Batman? It actually played out. I don't know if you remember that live session, Fat Batman. It was around here, and I said could be a Fat Batman, and it's followed my line exactly. So the answer for your question, Ellen, is that I will be looking at each individual one, and then looking for potential re-entries. So as you can see, not everything has rebounced as high as Bitcoin. So some things still look pretty pants. So if we're looking at Aave, so yes, there's some form of bottoming pattern maybe, but it's still too early to tell. This could very easily carry on going back down. Yeah, Ada's looking a bit bullish though. Maybe. So if we just get rid of some of these lines. Yeah. Let's look at polka dot. Yeah, still. So some of the alts are still looking bearish. So I literally just have to look at every one in particular. I still think a lot of these alts are looking bearish. I mean, just look at this big move up here. Okay, this is, I wouldn't say an overextended move, but it is a big-ish move. I mean, that's going to have a 50% pullback at least. So, yeah. I mean, look at gas. I'm a big fan of gas. Like, this is bearish as anything. This is going to breach. I'd see gas coming back down to $4 easy. So, yeah, each one is different. So, and as you know, I've got all of these. So, it takes me a while sometimes. Yeah. Right, let's carry on with the questions. Yeah, derivatives are affected, not spot for Binance. Pete is here. Hey, mate. Right. Ad Fez says, I looked at the Gemini card, but it seems as though only available in the US. Any UK alternative seems to have annual fee and doesn't pay cash back. Have you looked any further into these? No, I haven't. I am looking for them. I haven't actively done that. I'm just waiting for it to pop up or someone to say, hey, look, here's another card that will pay out in Bitcoin. That's the thing. You need it to be paying out in Bitcoin. And it's even better for myself because what I want to try and do is see if I can get a card for the businesses. So, like, I spend between 10 to 30 grand a month on Facebook ads. So if I can just plop all of that into the crypto card and get 2% back in Bitcoin, it's like free advertising over a period of time. Yeah. So, right. Koki, just looking through the questions. Alex said, hi, Simon. Could you get your argument against the house purchase? If the government is printing money, then we are waiting for a big inflation everywhere, including properties. Quick one. Cryptos are highly likely to appreciate faster than any house will. And it has. I mean, Bitcoin's done 200% CAGR for the last decade. That will pick up the house prices and skyrocket them, so we can expect the wealth growth in the properties. We don't know if crypto will bring more profit than properties. Okay, obviously no one knows the future, but you got to look at some interesting trends. Like, look at the bigger picture. Bitcoin, like the biggest picture is that Bitcoin's gone from like a tiny network with, you know, a very small number of people to this huge thing where now, like, we've got different narratives going on. We now have banks, billionaires, and countries plowing in on Bitcoin. So don't think El Salvador is going to be the first and last company that adopts Bitcoin. There'll be a domino effect, and so the network effect is just huge for Bitcoin. It's only going up, folks, and we now have all these billion. Oh, I'm gonna have to blow my nose. I'm so sorry. I've got bloody hay fever galore here. Sorry, I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna have to replant a small forest. This hay fever is just I've gone through so much tissue paper. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I think if you look at, especially, like, don't forget, we now have on-chain analytics. This is something that's never happened before. Every asset class on the planet throughout all of human history has been obscured or obfuscated. So even publicly listed companies, there's all sorts of shit going on behind the scenes you can't see, and all you have to wait for is, you know, quarterly earnings, etc. Whereas Bitcoin is the first globally scaled asset where it's completely transparent. Therefore, on-chain analytics is something that you really need to get your head around. It's going to be here. So, like, if you want to learn a new skill that's going to help, on-chain analytics. You need to understand what's going on the chain, and because then you can see things happening in real time. It's like looking at a S&P 500 company where you can see every single transaction, every wallet address, like everything. So, yeah, I think it would be foolish to think that properties are going to appreciate faster than crypto, especially like Bitcoin, where it has a fixed supply. Facebook user has said, hi, Simon, you discussed your... man, all these questions are cryptos. yeah. I do my 10 minutes of crypto, and then it's like an hour of crypto Q&A. I love crypto, but like not much happens in the short term. Like, I do find I'm repeating myself every live session. So, Simon, you discussed your .ether swing the other day, but I couldn't find the pairing on Binance. Were you doing this one? Yeah, so it doesn't matter what pairing. So all you're looking at is, let's do dot against Ether. So at the moment, Polkadot is massively undervalued against Ether. And therefore, you just need to get in it. You don't need to own Ether and then do it via the pairing. You can have, I don't know, BAN for all I care. And if you could just sell all of your BAN into, I don't know, Tether, Binance USD or whatever, and then go into DOT. And all you're doing is you're just allocating funds into DOT. And therefore, eventually, over time, DOT should start going up. So you just got to wait. So you don't need to do a particular pairing. Just get into DOT. And then when DOT gets up here against Ether, then you can diversify into Ether again. Fred Smith says 200k by 21st, by October 2021. Maybe I hope so, but I'm being conservative. Jack, Alex, Stuart, question. If you're putting everything into crypto, how do you expect to make cash flow? What do you get your cash flow from? Business? I think you're contradicting yourself by saying put all your money in crypto. Not at all. You should look at a lot of my previous videos. I'm in the game of wealth generation. We are all in the wealth generation journey. And you have to understand that, like, there's probably a good recap for people that haven't seen it. Like, when you look at the whole world of investing, you have two types of cash flow assets. You have CAPAP, so capital appreciating assets, and you have cash flowing assets. Okay. Now, every man and his dog is obsessed with capital appreciating assets, where you're basically buying low, hoping you sell high. And so there's a huge amount of hopium involved. You're basically hoping that you're buying in at the low, and that you hope that you're smart enough to see the top and get out at the top. So that's, anything from buying stocks, bonds, commodities, cars, houses, whatever. Whereas if you look what the smart money does, the smart money are billionaires. Billionaires don't give a shit about capital appreciating assets. They focus everything on cash flowing assets. Now, what are in the cash flowing assets? You've got debt products, so you can loan money, convertible note agreements, all that sort of stuff. You've got business. Again, if you're in property and you're renting your properties out, you're not in property, you're in business. The property is the widget of your business. You got trading. Again, it's not for most people. It takes a while to get good. But that's pretty much it. Debt, business, and trading. I could put little things in here like, crypto could be here because you can farm it. You can do all that sort of stuff. But I'm talking about big picture here. So what you need to do is spend all your time and money focusing on cash flowing assets, i.e. business. So for me, I focus all of my time and efforts and energy in business, because if you do it correctly, it also becomes a cap app as well. Because if you get a great business that's doing really good cash flow over a period of time, you can then sell it for a multiple of its profits. And therefore, you're building up this capital appreciating asset. I mean, you'll find that a lot of my businesses have recurring revenue models. So, direct debits, etc. Well, the base plate to start off with a recurring revenue business model is a 5 times exit multiplier. So if I have a business that's doing, I don't know, 100 grand profit a year, and it's all by direct debit, recurring revenue, guess what? That business is worth 500k. So this is what you focus on. So I've got 8 businesses, and a lot of them are failing at the moment, to be fair, or not failing. That temporary cash flow issues. That's all. Every business goes through that. It's just that for me, I've just landed in a period where 5 of my businesses are bleeding cash. So, but yeah, business is what I focus on. And so if you were to, again, get a magnifying glass on what I do, I have all my time and effort and money, I guess, in businesses. They make profits, which I call first order profits. And then I just reinvest into the business because you want to grow it. But then second order profits, when you have distributable cash flow, I then put it into my trading. Now, my trading is, this is typically what I've done in the past. It's slightly different now. And then the profits I make from trading, I then do into other stuff. Now, the other stuff tends to be crypto. I'll just put CFX, cryptocurrency, and other businesses. I can go out and buy another business, add to the top bit here, and then it's like a positive flywheel effect. But these days, I'm not even trading. I'm not trading currencies at the moment. I've drained all my currency accounts. All I'm doing is crypto. So that's what I'm doing. Any spare penny which I can take away from the business without hurting the businesses is going into crypto. So that is that. But again, you then have to be aware of the asset tiers. So being very broad brush here, you have primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, a tertiary. Oh, sorry, I've done that the wrong way around. What an idiot. primary, secondary, tertiary. So primary asset is something which is the hardcore stuff. So I use this analogy all the time. It's just because it's the easiest to understand. If you own land which has copper, you have copper deposits. That is a primary asset. Not only do you have the land, but you have copper, an actual commodity which the world consumes. A secondary asset would then, if you had a mining operation. So this mining or smelting or some sort of refining operation, or hell, even a copper distribution logistics company. All of these sorts of things are secondary businesses because the whole business model is predicated on the primary asset. And then if you go to tertiary, it'll be like trading copper futures. Or options, or just copper trading full stop. And so it's like paper, it's thin air, it doesn't really exist. But all of this is completely predicated on the underlying primary asset. So when you look at all the billionaires on the planet, Bill Gates, all of the big ones, Bill Gates, Bezos, take those two. They made all of their wealth in like the flag posts on top of the tertiary pin. They IPO'd their business. And what is Amazon? Amazon, it started off as an online retail. It's more than retail at the moment. It's a massive logistical distribution network. But they made all their wealth. Gates made all his wealth with silicon, basically. So they made all the wealth up here. So what are they all doing? They're rapidly rediversifying all of their wealth into secondary and primary assets. I mean, hell, Buffett bought the Santa Fe railway network. Why the hell does he want a railway network? Well, because a railway network typically connects all of the primary assets together and secondary assets. And you see that with loads of billionaires. They make their wealth up here on the internet, and then they quickly, rapidly drop down to secondary and primary because these things last. Now, Bitcoin is a funny thing because, it's literally the little flag on top of the flag post on top of the tertiary thing. So crypto's all the way up here. But Bitcoin, as time goes on, Bitcoin will actually become a primary asset all the way down here. So just give it time. So also, Jack, I'm not bleeding myself. Like in my personal bank account, I've still got money, so to pay bills and unexpected accidents and stuff like that. So I'm not like, I'm just putting every penny of my investable assets or currency or pounds in crypto. So Facebook user said, how much is your trading group subscription? It's, if you go to therealistictrader.com, go to RT community, it's £4,800 a year, or more, slightly more if you do it on a monthly basis. So remember, like, part of the realistic trader is not just crypto, it's about learning how to trade properly. And in this, treat it like a uni degree, except it's a useful uni degree, and it's not 50 grand. It's 5 grand for basically changing your life. Like, there's so many things. Like, yes, there's over 60 hours worth of training, which I would treat it like a box set. Just spend an hour a day, and over a couple of months, you would have got through it all. But the better you become at trading, the better you will become at other assets, other form of investing, whether it be property or crypto, etc. And it's due to my trading knowledge that has helped me grow my crypto portfolio way faster than Bitcoin, or the market. So anyway, moving on. What was I say? Yeah, Sam. Yeah, Steve. It wasn't actual, but yeah. So all these questions just happen to be crypto. With all continuing regulations coming into place from governments and institutions, is it worth buying cryptos now? Yes. I'm insanely bullish on crypto. It's ridiculous. So Matt, if you're still here, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see the chat overlay? No. There. Just so you know, that someone called Jacek Retka talking to a Sebastian. Like, these are scammers. They're just getting ready to put a scam. They're like, yeah, here we go. I'm aiming for this. I've got an amazing. Yeah, so just be aware of it. They're getting cleverer. Right. Peanut butter jelly time. Hey, mate. It seems like media is also putting people off. Yes, it will do. It will do. Like, just know that the more that you listen to the media, the poorer you will get, and the less healthy you will get as well. Just don't listen to the media. Just turn it off. Turn it off. And don't. And I would also say, don't listen to Twitter or YouTube. Like, you've got to be very careful. With the data feeds that you consume. Julian said, thanks for asking my first question. Second question, if Bitcoin's to move 100, 150k this year, about a 3-5x, would you expect main altcoins to do more than 3-5x? Yes, 100%. That's why I don't own any Bitcoin. I'm an all-in alts. Tom said, not much happens in the short term in crypto. We go from bull market to bear market, back to bull market in the time it takes you to eat a Snickers. No, mate, you're still listening to the Twitter sphere. We are not going in and out of bear markets. I mean, it may look like that if you're dicking around on a 1 hour chart. So that's what happens. Everyone, especially all the newbies, they look at cryptos and they simply dive into like the 1 hour chart or worse. And so or even worse, like the 5-minute chart. So yeah, if you're looking at the 5-minute chart, everything is going to be like, oh my God, we're to the moon. Oh, well, we're going to hell. Like it's an absolute shit show. Just stick to the daily chart, mate. And on the daily chart, what's happening? On the daily chart, yeah, I can say it's still too early to be a bear market, mate. All we've had is a very short, sharp correction in what's basically, I mean, again, if you look at the weekly chart, we've had an overextension on the weekly, and we've just had a 50% pullback. That is it. On the weekly chart, it's still wildly bullish. We are still at higher prices than we were at the beginning of the year. So I would just chill your beans, mate. I mean, what was the price at the beginning of the year? So 28,000. There we go. We're still above it. Yeah. So that's that. Kieran, Binance is finished now. No, it's not. Steve said, have you heard of 3 comments? It blew my mind in terms of trading software for crypto, trailing TP and stop loss, as well as portfolio management. I haven't. I prefer to manually do it. Julian's asked about tax. Yeah, like every in and out that I do is a tax implication. However, I have my crypto is a mix of personal crypto and business crypto. So the business crypto doesn't really matter whether I'm going in and out because it's all treated as revenue. So yeah. Pete said, why do you think Buffett's so down on crypto? Because he doesn't have a clue about anything tech related. He was slandering and slating the whole of the internet revolution back in the 90s and sat on his hands and did nothing. Meanwhile, he missed out on the biggest revolution in human history. Buffett is a has-been. And yeah. So, but I do agree. He says stick with stuff that you know, and so he's stuck with stuff that you know. Like, ultimately, who am I to criticize Warren Buffett? He is a kabillion times richer than I am, and yeah. But what you should actually look at is, I guess, the new generation of billionaires coming up. So if you like Chamath Palihapitiya, look at him. He is absolutely rinsing Buffett in terms of performance growth for his age and the time period of what he's doing. Like, you need to look at progressive billionaires, not old has-beens that don't understand the internet. And he never has done. And he's missed out on huge profits over the last 20 years with internet-based businesses. We're moving into a tech world, like a ridiculous form of tech over the years. But again, I can't really say anything because I'm a small fry nobody from Norwich. So I'm aware of the irony there. So Tom, no, I'm not doing a crypto-only thing. Just join the RT community. I mean, like, I've heard people scoff at, RT is 4,800 quid a year. It's a joke. I don't want to use a bot. I don't want to learn to trade. I just want crypto stuff. Seriously, those who have followed my crypto moves have made far more than $5,000 just with certain moves. But yeah, anyway. So moving on. I'm just trying to. Yeah, don't listen to Twitter or YouTube. Said on a YouTube video. I'm on Facebook. This is streaming to Facebook. There's more Facebook people here than on YouTube. Right. Paul Bale, anything on ADA? Yeah, massively bullish on ADA. It's actually, if you look at ADA compared to everything else, it's actually retained. It hasn't had a catastrophic drop like every other alt has. It's massively maintained a lot of its profits. I mean, look at the beginning of the year. It started off at 21 cents and it's now $1.31. It's nuts. And also, we got a big run up to the new roadmap developments sort of towards the end of this year. So I'm massively bullish on ADA. I'm not liking the sight that this is potentially breaking out to the upside, but looking at it on the 4 hour, it's interesting. Okay, maybe it could be forming a double top here. Maybe it's still too early to tell. I just need more data. I need more bars. I need more candlesticks. So no, alt season will continue. Remember, 80% of the move happens in the last 20% of the time. So just chill out, folks. Right. I now need to move on to the YouTube questions. Sorry, I'm just... So there's one last question. Why is market movement so dominated by Bitcoin? Do you ever see the market detaching itself? Yes. So at the moment, because it's the big daddy, it's like normally roughly 50 odd percent, 40%. What is it? Yeah, it's 46% market share of the whole crypto. So whenever Bitcoin moves, everything follows, just because it is an oil tanker and everything else is like a little ship in its trail. But there will be a detaching. We will see Ethereum overtaking Bitcoin in market cap. Maybe not this year, but it will happen within the next 5 years. And, you know, hell, I think Cardano will eventually surpass Bitcoin in market cap eventually. So there will be a detaching, and there already is a detaching on some assets. So this is why I look at every individual thing separately. I mean, look at like Cardano is a completely different picture to what Bitcoin or Ethereum's doing. So yeah, they're already detaching, mate. Right. Okay, let's go to YouTube now. So, because I feel massively apologetic because I have not answered any questions in a while. So let's go to comments. Right. Let's rattle through here. So, Anonymous, loving your book. Thanks, mate. Question. Where I am, we pay 56% taxes on crypto profits. How would you deal with this? Just hodl, never take it out in fiat. So, read more. Stablecoin, not sure what to do. I don't know what country you're in, but what you should do, well, I can't tell you what to do. What I will be doing is simply, I'm going in and out at the moment, just trying to accumulate more tokens during this dip, but just hodl. And then eventually, if you want cash, you just take a loan off of it. So if you ever need to liquidate some, don't liquidate it because it's a taxable event. Just borrow from it. And there's going to be huge amounts of progress in the crypto lending sphere. I mean, Aave is doing really well already. Just borrow off it. Javier talked about M-Pesa. Yeah, I was trying to remember. I thought it was M-Pesa, but it's M-Pesa. Nice one. I talked about the dot thing today. Mauricio, why don't you have Stellar Lumens? It's number 18 in market cap and has partnerships with IBM and Deloitte. It's had those partnerships with that and Microsoft for freaking years now. And although it has done, maybe I should add it. Let's have a look at Stellar. I had it in 2017. I just haven't got back into it yet. It just does the same thing. There's no reason that I shouldn't have it. I just have. I mean, if you look at my list, I've got the whole market pretty much covered. And I just think there's a bit more growth in other coins than that's all. But yeah, it's not a shit coin. It's better than others. In fact, looking at this right now, there's a bit of a rise in compression here. So you could still see further falling. Let's look at it on the 4 hour. Yeah, that is bearish as. So, yeah, let's go back to the comments. George, mate, just checking in here. The stimulus packages aren't paid with money from tax? No, they're not. Are they printing that? Yeah, couldn't really find that info. They are not taking tax money to pay out stim packaging, stim pumps. That's all they're doing is borrowing. So first of all, they're printing it. They're basically, let's take the UK. Whenever they're doing these stim pumps, they're borrowing the money. It doesn't come from tax. They're literally they're creating money out of thin air, and it's through the basically getting in debt to the central bank. So, in a nutshell, do we have time for this? Probably. I mean, it's worth going through. I've always talked about the vampire squid, so I'll speed through this. You can always, I've got other videos in the portal which go through this in depth. But basically, what happens is that you have the government over here, and they make all sorts of promises because they do elections and all sorts of stuff. New bloke comes in, goes, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and I'm going to promise to do this, blah blah blah. Like Biden, he's just trying to get $6 trillion stim pump through. So what happens is the government then goes to the Treasury. So, Biden goes to the Treasury and go, "Hey, I've made all these promises, but I need money to actually fulfill them. Go and get me $6 trillion. So what happens is a government bond, so let's call it a government GB here, makes its way from the government to the Treasury. That then gets converted into what's called a T-bond, a Treasury bond, and then they go to the open market. So what happens... open bond, open market. And so the four primary lenders, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, etc., they help facilitate. It's like an auction, and so the open market is the four primary lenders and other countries. They say, "Hey, does anyone want to buy these T-bonds?" But what actually happens is it's very limited here. The T-bonds end up making their way to what I call the giant vampire squid. I can't draw to save my life, but it looks like this, and it's called the Federal Reserve. And so what happens is these T-bonds end up through they call it open market operations, but these T-bonds end up in the Fed, and the Fed goes, "Oh, okay, you want $6 trillion? Sure, you can have $6 trillion, but you owe us $7 trillion over 10 years or $8 trillion over 10 years. So this T-bond makes its way up to the Fed, and then what happens is a Federal Reserve note makes its way back down through the primary lenders, etc., and then so it'll be like a $6 trillion Fed note, and that then ends up back down here, and then boom. So Biden all of a sudden has his $6 trillion. But what has he actually done? He hasn't actually taken it from tax money or anything like that. That Fed note is basically a loan. So the US government is now in debt to the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, is a private company. These are not conspiracy theories. This is fact. It's fact. They're shareholders and they pay 6% divvies per year. So the whole of the US is a debt slave to the Federal Reserve. And so what then happens is Biden goes and spends money, spends, but through fractional reserve lending, which is morphed in a bit, that $6 trillion basically turns into a lot more. But here's the sad thing. Here's us at the bottom, all the way down here. We are the public, and we spend, we work our guts out, earning our £10 an hour or £20 an hour, whatever, to have our little tiny sliver of all of this money. But what happens is that it's not the end of the story, because there's the tax man. So the tax man is here. In the US, it's called the IRS. Over here, it's HMRC, etc. Guess what we have to do? We earn our money over here, but then we have to give some money to the IRS or the tax man. Now, who does the IRS work for? The IRS works for the Treasury / the government, but it's really the Treasury. And so the money comes back up here, and it's our tax money that's being used to help pay off the interest, just the interest, never the principal, always just the interest of the freaking Wonga loan that they've got in from the Federal Reserve or the Bank of England in the UK. And so this is the biggest scam in the history of mankind, and no one is really aware of it. And none of this is hearsay. This is all fact. It's the biggest con on the planet, but it happens to be legal. And so when you really look at this, the US public are debt slaves to a private entity called the Federal Reserve, and it's a never-ending spiral of debt. And they are a debt slave to the Federal Reserve because the government is a debt slave to the Federal Reserve. So, yeah, all the stim pumps, they're not coming from tax money. It's impossible. This is why the debt will only go up and why they can only print more currency, which is why, coming back to crypto, when you have Bitcoin, which is a completely hard asset with a finite supply, in fact, in real terms, it's a shrinking supply. So, yeah. Right, here we go. Where... Shit, that was a long answer to this one. Sorry, George. Party on, dude. Quality stream. Covered some important metrics. Okay, thank you. Cheers, mate. Are you not going to get back into ETH? Yes, I will do once DOT gets way higher compared to ETH. What about Privacy Coin, mates? Yeah, I've got 2 or 3. I've got Pirate Chain, which is R. I don't like gimmicky names, but in that, and I'm in Monero and Zcash, which, again, everything's falling at the moment. So, yeah, I don't want to get into any shitcoins. So, have I heard of SafeMoon? Yes, I have heard of SafeMoon. I actually made, what was it? I turned $1,000 in SafeMoon into $4,000 SafeMoon, but I'm out of it now. Can I do a bit of... No. Like, let's have a look at SafeMoon. It wasn't even on... You'd have to go to CoinMarketCap for this. It's just a shitcoin. That's all. I have an allocation of shitcoins. I made a lot of money with Kishu. A lot of money. I turned, what is it? I can't remember. It was like $400 or $700 into $14,000. Yeah, it was ridiculous with Kishu. But I'm out of that now. Google has a big butt. Don't know what that was on about. Yeah, sorry. A lot of these aren't really questions. They're comments. So cool. Thanks. I think that's helped. I think I'm up to date. Party on, dude. Love your content. Nevertheless, you have to be careful with the hero worship. You've ignored carbon credits and the egotistical nature of anyone with too much power. That's what this ecosystem is meant to solve. I think he's referring to Elon. No, I'm aware. There's a difference between worship and huge respect and adulation. It's not necessary. I guess I do worship. Mind you, yeah, yeah, you're correct. I do worship Elon to a bit, but I'm fully aware of all of his flaws. I mean, he's human at the end of the day. We all have flaws, but you just cannot argue with his track record, and he always fulfills on what he says he's going to do. I mean, he started off. He invented point-to-point navigation. He invented e-money with PayPal and X.com. He's revolutionizing electric drivetrains, batteries. He's going to take out pretty much all energy companies out there because he's changing the whole world to renewable. Like, there's so many things he's doing. It's just ridiculous. He's the most important human being that has ever lived, in my opinion. Like, that's how, yeah. So when you look at what he's doing and what he will do, it's just insane. Anyway. So yeah, I think that's it for the questions. Let's last check on the questions. I'm going to try this chat overlay thing. I don't know what this will do, but I think when people comment, it's going to come up on the page. Yeah, last chances for questions, folks. I need to go and get some breakfast. Alex has said, do you have some business ideas that you cannot start yourself due to time or other issues and you're willing to partner with someone else? Oh, it's a big question. I have loads, but I don't even have the time to partner with someone. I'm actually gearing up for my first proper big business, which is interesting because what happens with most people when it comes to wealth generation in business is that they see all these people like Elon Musk, etc., and they think, oh, okay, I need to be like him or her or whatever. and they go from zero business experience to trying to set up a multi-billion-dollar company, or they think that they have this killer idea that's going to absolutely, take out certain market, or they go, oh, this is a $10 trillion market, all I need is 1%, and then they waste years of their life trying to pursue this thing. And you have to understand, you need to become the right vessel before you embark on that journey. So I have a thing called the entrepreneurships. It's part of the WAP. In fact, let's have a look at it. So if you join the WAP, by the way, join the WAP. It's freaking awesome. It's like a map to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. It includes everything. But if we look at the portal, which actually looks better than the homepage. Here we go. Entrepreneurships. How many? Do you have any pictures? Can't remember. It's been so long since I looked at this. Okay, ignore that. So basically what I was trying to say is that we are all different ships. And so you start off with rowing boats all the way up to, frigates, etc. Now, most people are rowing boats or a small sailboat. And by trying to embark on a massive multi-billion-dollar business idea, it's akin from going from Dover to, I don't know, Buenos Aires or Antarctica. It's a huge freaking journey, and you can't do it in a rowing boat. Or it's highly improbable that you can get there in a rowing boat, especially in a time-efficient manner. However, if you became a bigger boat, that journey becomes a lot easier. So what I've always been a fan of, or what I've always said, is that you need to first of all work on yourself so you become a bigger boat. So you accelerate over a 5 to 10 year period from being a rowing boat to a frigate or a high-class catamaran or something. And then you can embark on big journeys. So I've only been in business for 10 years. No, less than that. Really, 2012, I guess. Yeah. So I've been in business under 10 years. And so all I've been doing is rapidly trying to make myself a bigger boat. And I've always had these big business ideas, which I do want to attack, but not quite yet. So I've got a list of business ideas I want to do. Oh yeah, Tom, or a high-class tug. I remember that. So I'm pretty confident and I'm pretty capable around the 0 to 250k profit per year level of businesses. And so my next one is I can't tell you just yet because it'll be detrimenting myself. But yeah, I'm in the process over the next couple of years, and we're gonna and just to get the MVP off road, it's a 5 million quid raise, but it could be quite chunky. But I can tell you about the project I'll do after this. So let's say I do this project, I raise 5 million quid, grow the business, etc. I'll probably do that for 5 or 10 years. The business I want to do in 10 to 20 years' time is all in nanotech. I really believe there's huge things. There's not a single problem on the planet you can't fix with nanotech. Not a single problem. Like zero. I'm yet to find of something which nanotech can't solve. So people go, oh, disease. Well, yeah, that's like the first thing you can solve. Like with nanotech, what I'm talking about are atomic robots, effectively, or nano robots, where you can basically play with atoms like they're Lego bricks. And so when you have the capability of manipulating atoms at scale, you can do anything. So let's take, cancer, right? Well, you program the nanobots or be incorporated with AI, go and find this type of cancer cell. And they'll fly all around your body, find you those cells, kill it, done. Global warming, there's literally, like, let's take plastics in the ocean. You can create huge swarms of quadrillions of these nanobots, release them into the water, and all they target is plastic, and they'll break it down. So there's nanotech. I mean, the technology for that is a long way off, which is why it's something I'll do in 10 to 20 years' time. But for something of that scale, you need a research center and a good research center. And a good research center takes at least £50 million a year in maintenance. So, and that's like just barely break, that, I mean, and that's a small research center, by the way. So that's what I ultimately want to do over the next sort of 20 years. I want to end up owning or at least controlling. There's a big difference between control and owning. I want to control a research center which has 50 million a year in maintenance. So, and that what that means is that 50 million a year covers all the fees and salaries for your scientists, and and obviously building shit. So, but imagine what you could do with a 50 million pound a year research center. The amount of tech that you can have, and that company would then own all of the IP from whatever the scientists create. But I want to make scientists like a really sexy profession, like a cutting edge scientist should be on 250 grand a year, and by making science sexy, it helps things move. Yeah. Anyway, there's no point talking about the future like this because that's like 20 years time. Right. I think that's it. Helen Yanni, where can I find a tutorial on sidestep moves? I have actually talked about them in various live sessions, so I just don't know where. If you on YouTube, I haven't done a good job with labeling stuff, because if you go to content, or if I just go to my if you just go to oh my god, go to YouTube, type in Siam Kid, click on my face, go to playlists, and then look for wealth generation social chats, or even the crypto one. In fact, it's probably easier if you find the crypto playlist in that playlist.
Going out tonight on BBC One.
And then scroll to the bottom, and it's in one of these. Sorry, I haven't labeled them properly. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Alexander, my bandwidth is full at the moment. As I said, I've got temporary cash flow issues here at the moment. Like one of my businesses was losing 30 grand a month for the last 3 months. And annoyingly, I spotted it too late. I know it sounds ridiculous. How do you not notice that sooner? I've been distracted. And so I've been, cutting. Oh, yeah. So take that business with cost cutting. I literally, because the outgoings were about 55 grand a month and the income was hovering around 25, 30 grand a month. So with that one, thankfully now I've got that under control, sort of. I've got the outgoings down to 35 grand a month. So I've cut 20 grand a month of outgoings, which have helped. And I've done that without cutting staff. So, yeah, which is good. It just goes to show sometimes in a business you can get some massive bloat in the business, which you really don't need. So, yeah, I'm just plugging the holes in my boats at the moment. So, right. Pete, how much are you making on YouTube at the moment? Absolutely zero. It's not monetized. So, yeah. It's interesting. By the way, for those who are not familiar with Pete Bennett, who's just commented here, it's highly worth checking him out. So if you go back to find my thing on YouTube, click my face, and then click Wealth Generation Social Chats, and then scroll down near the bottom, we should see an interview with... Where the hell is he? Oh, shit, I should have put your face as the thumbnail. So it's this one here, interviewing an expert on YouTube marketing. So Pete Bennett is the man to go to for YouTube marketing. And it's an absolutely fascinating interview. It really is. That's him. That's his face. So, yeah, he's a jolly nice bloke. Now, the thing... So for me... Regarding the whole YouTube stuff, I fully admit and I understand that it's something which I need to do more of. I need to, I should monetize it, etc. But it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do, and it's a lot of consistent work. Now, I know that you could. I should probably employ someone at the moment to do it for me. I probably should. But at the moment, I'm just I'm just plugging holes at the moment. I've got my hands full, if that makes sense. But yeah, you should do it. You should chat with him if you have a business and etc. Because he's doing some pretty cool stuff on YouTube. Humble Family Travels says nanobots could be used for evil too, surely. Ethnic cleansing. Yes, it can. But this is why I feel it's a bit of a duty, because to do stuff like this, going back to the nanobot stuff, because it's inevitable that people will be pursuing stuff like nanobots, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. And it's inevitable that a lot of bad actors, there'll be a lot of evil people that are billionaires that will be doing this as well. And this is why I like Elon, because I think he is net positive. Yes, I think he's cheeky, manipulating prices on crypto and all that sort of stuff. But he is net benevolent, net positive, basically. And so he will do good stuff. So it's good that there's someone like him basically leading the charge in all of these new frontiers of tech. And we need more good people. And now I just know that if I got control of billions of dollars, or got myself to being a billionaire, which I think will happen, by the way, I will just convert that capital into good things. So creating techs that will lead to good things. Now, I know that sounds really obnoxious, saying, oh, you're going to be a billionaire. But it's not me blowing smoke up my ass. It's simply compounding interest. Just think about it. I just know through compounding interest, I will become a centimillionaire for sure, and a billionaire eventually. I don't want to labour the point too much. If you just go to compound interest calculator, here we go. People just don't understand compounding interest, and people use it in the wrong way. So if we start off with, if you start off with 10 grand, and you're averaging, let's just say 10% a year. I'm not talking about me, by the way. Let's over 30 years. So no blah blah blah. Calculate. So what it's saying, with initial 10 grand over 30 years, you'll end up with just under 200k using sort of 10% APR, which after 30 years is not much. But the thing is, compounding interest really starts working its magic when you get into the hockey stick part. So it's compounding interest is like this, and then it does that. So what you need to do is don't start compounding interest over here, because that's stupid. This is why I hate books like Tony Robbins' Money, the Game, or Mastering the, what is it called? What's it called? Money, Master the Game, or something like that. Because he's basically, if you read that book, and I read it, it's stupidly long. I think he's done a massive disservice to the world, because people read this Tony Robbins book and go, oh yeah, compounding growth, compounding interest, and I need to buy government bonds. That's basically the crux of the whole book. Save for a bit, invest a bit, but then use compounding interest. And save for 30 years because you'll be a millionaire in 30 years. But that's a really inefficient use of your time. What you need to do is go absolutely balls deep, like being aggressive with your wealth generation, i.e. through business, etc. So in the shortest period possible, you get your net worth somewhere around here. And then you use compounding interest for your growth. Now, it won't be ones. In fact, that's not good. That's compounding growth. So business will actually do this. You'll do lots of little multiple steps. Whereas if you compare, so if you took a mediocre or even a bad business owner compared to the average employee, what you'll find is that the bad business owner will do really badly for the first 5 years of their business career, or hell, even the first 10 years. But eventually, they'll then massively speed up. And they'll overtake an employee over a longer period of time. So that's what business does, and that's what I found with my personal net worth. Certain business will just leapfrog me several steps, and that's what crypto does. So crypto is helping you do that. So you need to get yourself here, and then you rely on compounding interest. Because if you go back to that calculator, and instead of starting with 10k, you start with 100k. Compounding interest of 100k for 30 years. Whoopsie, my done. Start off with 100. There's 100 over 30 years. Calculate. You end up with 2 million. You're basically 10xing. So that's what you need to do. Now, going back to my obnoxious comment of how I will be a centimillionaire and a billionaire in 20 to 40 years' time. Well, if I can just start. So let's say you start with $1 million, and I'm growing my. Oh no, it's different because I've got different parts of wealth. So this is hard when you're doing your own personal wealth, because you have liquid wealth and you have paper wealth, and they're completely miles apart. So if you look at Elon Musk, all of his wealth that people quote him on, that's his paper wealth. That's basically how much he's worth based on the stock of his companies. And so if if I was to look at the stock of my companies, my paper worth, even with this downturn, it's still probably worth 2.5. So pretty low. So let's just be conservative. The thing is, in fact, let's even worse. Let's start with 1 million. Easy rust up a mil. But the thing is, the thing that I'm obsessed with is my yearly cadence, because I worked out my required CAGR 10 years ago, and I said to myself, I need to make at least 50% per year. Now, what happens is you don't make 50% every single year. It's a case of sometimes you have to average it out over a 5-year period. But I've more than hit my 50% a year over the last 10 years by a country mile. But so I'm pretty, and that's why I hover around the small businesses. That's why I hover around businesses that are doing, 0 to 250k profits, because you can get some crazy growth. Like, take My Fairy Pen Pal, for example. My Fairy Pen Pal went from 0 to almost 4 and a bit grand a month profit within a year, and we only started with like £3,000. What is the ROI from that? It's hundreds of percent, and so that's why I like startups. Anyway, so let's say you maintain 50% a year, and you do that 30-year calculation. That 1 million quid turns into 2.4 billion. I mean, hell, even if I slowed it down at average 25%, if I started doing chunkier businesses, it's still 1.6 billion. So this is what I mean, and like I genuinely feel this is where I'm probably going to lose even more followers here. When you look at the rate of tech progression with Neuralink and all that sort of stuff, it's highly likely by the year 2050 we will be able to fully upload our minds to the cloud. Whether it'll be exact consciousness, who knows? I doubt it. But it's still very primitive tech. But we will be able to upload ourselves to the cloud. Bit like the Matrix, I guess. I mean, that's the future of space travel. It's not sending tiny flesh bodies that are going to get absolutely, eviscerated once you get past the Van Allen belts. You'll be zipping your consciousness at the speed of light to Mars. So you'll be in Mars in 8 minutes. Something like, I think it was 8 minutes to Mars, speed of light. I can't remember. I know it's 8 to 9 minutes from the sun. But yeah, so if you want to go to the moon, you'll be there in a couple of seconds. And then if you have that capability, like that, you can zip your consciousness or your mind around the place at the speed of light, you can then put yourself into some form of avatar. Like, whether it be a robot, whether it be a drone. I want to go on to the moon and fly around. Then you just simply put yourself in a drone. So playing too much Cyberpunk. I've never played Cyberpunk Peanut Butter Jelly Time. I hear people talking about it. I know Elon's a fan of Cyberpunk, but I've never played the game. I just play Age of Empires. So going back to my point, yes, I will be rich in the future because of simply compounding interest. That is it. As simple as that. And I will simply use that wealth to convert into tech progression. That is all I'm going to do. And use that tech, the fruits of that tech research, put it into good things. So, Ad Fed says, regards to housing issue, are you on Rob's progressive group? No, I'm not. So, I see what you mean. Cool. Scott, your voice is slowed down to half speed. You sounded like Shakespearean English gentleman. I think that's my internet. Sometimes it cuts out and it goes slow and then speeds up. So, apologies. Right, I think I've gone off on a crazy tangent for too long. Probably bored the hell out of you now. One last check on crypto. Or is it going to get rejected? Doesn't look like it. Still need more time. I need more candlesticks. Sorry for the... Yeah, anyway, I will see you soon. Oh yeah, Altered Carbon. If you've watched Altered Carbon, that is probably the most realistic, futuristic program I've ever seen. Yeah, Altered Carbon is... Whoever is the futurist behind Altered Carbon, they have good understanding of tech and the progression of tech. So, yeah. So one last thing. So one last point to talk about this tech thing look at the Human Genome Project and how badly everyone got it wrong. So my dates are going to be out. I haven't talked about this in that example for a couple of years now. So the dates, I'll probably be off by a year or two. But they started to try and map the Human Genome Project, right? And I think off the top of my head, what is it? I think, yeah, let's say it started 2000. I think it's 2000. And they up until that point, they had only mapped like 0.5% of the genome or whatever. But it then got to like 2007. Sorry, yeah. I think it got to 2007. And after 7 years of mapping the human genome, they got to like 1%. And this is actually really surprising how bad scientists can call things. And you would have thought, a world leading scientist would understand exponential growth. But throughout history, scientists have always fallen short of exponential growth. They just can't get it. I don't know why. And so what happened is they went, oh my God, it's taken 7 years to get to map 1% of the human genome. And they started forecasting it that, it'll be another 700 years until they, I saw some reports that, by the time we hit 100%, which is up here, it'll be the year, 2100 or something stupid like that. But what actually happened? Exponential growth and compounding interest and the law of accelerating returns, as per Ray Kurzweil, we fully mapped it out by 2013. It's ridiculous. We had ridiculous growth. And that is why you need to measure the halvings. Not the halvings, the doublings. So Ray Kurzweil, back in 2007, said, no, we should fully map out the whole genome by 2013. And guess what? He was on it to the dot. Because if you take a little magnifying glass, what he was doing, he was mapping the doublings. So he was mapping, to go from 0.1%, genome mapping to 0.2%. What was the time? How long did it take to get to there? And then how long did it take to get to 0.4? And then how long to 0.8, etc., etc. And what he found is that these times were massively dropping. And so, yeah, and that's how he worked this out. And that, with that sort of cadence, it would be 2013. And he fully mapped it out. Now, where this relates to is mapping the human mind. Mapping the human mind is this generation's version of mapping the human genome. So if we were to try and map the mind, we're nowhere near. We are nowhere near, which is why some people say it's going to take, 1 billion years or you just can't do it. It's too complex. Whereas, again, Ray Kurzweil, he's doing the same things, and he's saying by 2050 we'll be able to fully upload our minds to the cloud. He thinks probably sooner, by 2040, but his safe bet is 2050. Either way, it's in our timeline. And what this means is that if you can upload your mind to the cloud, you'll be digitally immortal. So this is the crazy thing. Going back to that compounding interest calculator, what is the maths? What do the numbers look like when you compound your wealth for 300 years? It gets ridiculous. So, yeah. So this is why you should be massively aggressive in the short term to try and build your wealth so you can do compounding interest. But also, on the flip side, you can also chill out a bit, because life historically has been short, but I think we're going to change during our lifetime where life isn't short. And yeah, so right. Martin Cray, you've missed out on the beginning of this live session. Ignore the FUD on Binance. It's not going to affect your spot wallet or your staking wallet, just the derivatives. So yeah, no, rewind 1 hour and 28 minutes, mate. So good to have you here, though, mate. Good to see you. It's been a long time. Right, let's call it a day. I need food before my 2 o'clock training pub session. I'll see you soon. Bye.